right, so, as I was saying, in practical life, the direct aims are sense of order, concentration, coordination, and independence. Sense of order, which is so critical to the children at this age, is basically just the idea that there's a proper way to do things and a proper sequence for doing things. We all know as adults that we don't all do everything in the same sequence, but it's important to develop a good sequence for whatever routines we have. So in the classroom, as much as possible, we want to present the works in the same way to the children so that they all begin to get that idea of sequence. And if the teachers are presenting things in the same way, the kids will see other kids doing it the way that the teachers showed them, and so it's just easier. If you aren't exactly positive how to present a work, but you have a pretty good idea, go for it. If you look at a work and you say, I have no idea what to do with that, don't touch it. Just wait to ask another teacher that might know what it's for. Even, like, I teach summer camp in April or Kathleen's room often every summer, and I don't even know what some of the work is in there, and I'll just say, you know what, I haven't had a lesson on that. I'm going to set that in the teacher's room until I can find out what it's for. And you don't have to set it in the teacher's room in your classroom during regular school year. You could just say, you know, you'll just need to get a lesson on that work later, or I'll find out and then I'll show you later. But in a summer camp, because I might not see the person who would need to give me that information, I might put it in the teacher's room for a few days. Concentration, of course. You will see the youngest child, 2.5, might sit down with pouring water and concentrate for 2 minutes straight, which is amazing for a child that age. That's usually the first thing you'll see a child really begin to concentrate on. And then as that increases up to 7, 8 minutes, they might be ready to be trying some work that has a longer sequence and requires a lot more concentration, moving into 20 minutes. Coordination. You'll see as I present, these works are, actually I'm going to switch these two. I was thinking about that yesterday and I didn't do it. They're sequenced in a way that it's not arbitrary. They're sequenced so that it develops fine motor skills. In every shelf in the whole classroom, it should be sequenced so that the top left-hand corner would be the first work in the sequence. And if you look at these works, you'll see when you talk about like pencil grip, these works are going to be presented with a whole hand grasp. This one really could come before that one too. I think I'll go ahead and switch that just to model what I'm talking about a little bit better. The scoop you can hold like this. It's a little awkward for an adult because our hands are a lot larger, but then you get down to the sorting with your fingers and you're doing a little finger grab like that. The spoon, you're going to be doing more of a pincher grasp like you would hold a pencil. And the same with the tongs. These are harder because they have to be able to squeeze a little tighter while they're using that pencil grasp, pincher grasp. And then the tweezers are even a much smaller fine motor. So if you are looking at these works trying to figure out whether they're in the right order, in your mind you can kind of think through, well, logically, what would be the easiest for a child to accomplish? So it should be, same thing with the wet work. Whole hand grab with the sponge transfer, which I'll be showing in a minute. Whole hand grab with the ladle. These pictures are different from those. Those are whole hand grab pictures. These you have to kind of with your fingers. Funneling just requires more hand-eye coordination. Using the little eyedropper is back kind of like the tweezers. And wood polishing is more steps. So this isn't really that it requires greater fine motor control, but it's just a more complicated work. So that's kind of at the end of the sequence. And independence. These are all things that the child, by themselves, the very youngest children in the room, can come, take that work to the table, complete it, and put it away. And that might be one of the first things these children have ever done by themselves. It's really inspiring and fun to see them beginning to develop that independence. So, I'm going to do a few of these presentations, and on the bottom of that worksheet I gave you, Practical Life Area, A Cheater's Guide, it says, it's just kind of like quick and dirty tips for presenting practical life work, especially if it's not work that you've actually seen presented by the lead teacher in your classroom. a few important things that you'll witness when I'm presenting the works. Everything is organized, should be organized, left to right, top to bottom. So if you're looking at a work and you're not quite sure where to start, look at it that way. Now, a child may have rearranged it. If you saw me kind of like moving things around while I was just fixing it, trying to make it so everything is organized that way. And it should be set up that way to start. There's occasionally a time, I don't know, maybe you just can't get the materials to fit on the tray the way that you want them. Like this, for example, the sponge is really what you need last. And if you're going left to right, top to bottom, it kind of looks like the soap is last. But I don't know, I didn't like putting the soap over here because it's so far away from that scrub brush. So sometimes there's a little deviation. If your hand is moving, the mouth is not. That is a really important thing to remember in almost every Montessori lesson. If you're talking, the children are not going to be looking at your hands, and mostly what you want them to be looking at is your hands. So really the presentation should be done silently, but sometimes you'll feel like you need to explain something, or the child will, if the child is trying to carry on a conversation with you while you're doing the lesson, you need to be pretty firm and say, I'm giving you a lesson right now, we can talk later. Or you need to watch the lesson, I'd love to talk with you later about that, or something so that they know this is not conversation time, because they won't get anything from the lesson if you're having a conversation at the same time. If there's something on the tray that you didn't use, it means you probably didn't present the work quite the way, like you should always use the sponge at the end, even if you didn't really spill any water. You need to model what that's there for. And the children won't let you get by without using everything on the tray. So they're, what's that for? But, all right, I think that's everything I needed to go through. So I'm not going to present all of these works. I'm just going to do like 4 of them. And then I'm going to let you sort of look at them and see if you can figure out how you would present the others. All right, so I'm going to have an imaginary child with me. That's always fun. I have a lesson for you. And note, I'm not saying, would you like a lesson? Sometimes I say, would you like a lesson? But if you say that, they're likely to say no. If you say, I have a lesson for you, or come with me, most of them are just gonna come. It's not always what they want to come have a lesson. They usually do. Many of them would have a lesson every second of every day. But it's safest just to say, come with me, I have a lesson for you. Every time you take a tray, this is so important, you're going to hold it with 2 hands. One of the things I see, even with really long-term teachers, is somebody walking around the room like this. And why is this not a good idea?
You're modeling.
You're modeling it for the children. Exactly. And if a 3-year-old tries to do this, they're not strong enough, and you've got 2 broken pitchers and a bunch of beans to clean up. So, like, what'll happen sometimes, we'll get into work mats later, but you get your work, and then you realize you didn't get your work mat out, and then a teacher will go over and get the work mat with one hand. And you've got to say, oh, I forgot my work mat. Let's go put this back on the shelf. Now let's go get our work mat. Or if the child has been here a while, you could say, would you put a work mat out for me? Well, since my hands are full, that's fine. All right.